What's up, Buff fans? My name is Jared Miller, and welcome to the final Sko Buffs Sports Show of the year.
I'm Malaina Humphreys, and I cannot believe that we've made it this far. And if you didn't know, Jared and I are the executive producers here at Sko Buffs Sports, and it is tradition to have the two senior EPs anchor for the final show.
Yeah, it only took 5 years, but they finally got me in front of the cameras.
A welcome sight to everyone here behind the scenes and everyone watching. Speaking of finalities, though, seniors will have the final chance to be at Folsom Field as students tomorrow afternoon.
The second black and gold game of the Coach Prime era is tomorrow at 1 p.m. Some notable prospects that will be in town taking in the scrimmage include 5-star offensive lineman Michael Fasuzi, 4-star edge rusher LeJesse Harold, and 4 other 4-star recruits. The exhibition is at Folsom Field and on the Pac-12 network.
One key buff that won't be at the spring game is last year's leading rusher. Dylan Edwards, one of Coach Prime's biggest recruits thus far, has hit the transfer portal. We've seen some big names exit CU this month, and Edwards is among them. Edwards was a part of a struggling run game in Boulder, tallying only 321 rushing yards as the #1 back. His value, however, is his blazing fast speed, which made him a prime target in the passing game. And that will be at something that teams will be chomping at the bit to get on their roster. It was a treat to be able to see him score 4 touchdowns against TCU in Texas. With his departure, the Buffs have added former Miami of Ohio running back Rashad Amos to the room, which was just announced a few hours ago. After rushing for 1,000 yards last year, he looks to be the favorite for the starting job with 2 years of eligibility remaining.
Former Colorado cornerback Cormani McClain also entered the transfer portal after stating a month earlier during Pro Day that he would not be transferring. McClain says that, quote, "I just don't want to play for clicks," end quote. In response to fans questioning his decision, the former 5-star prospect was one of the best recruits in the history of Colorado football, but now leaves Boulder faithful with a sour aftertaste following his sole season in town.
In addition to Edwards and Cormani, several other players on CU's football team announced they would enter the portal. This week, Eric Brantley Jr., Adam Hopkins, J.J. Hawkins, Cameron Warchuk, and Savion Wilkerson have all entered the transfer portal. Although Coach Prime has lost players over the last week, the Buffs are looking to gain some out-of-state talent. Sko Buffs Sports' Wes Barnett has more.
Hi, I'm Wes Barnett, and while Boulder fans might be upset with the recently departed wave of transfers this spring, 4 new transfers have committed to Deion Sanders this week. The first to join was Ryan Buell, a defensive lineman for Ohio University. Buell played 13 games for the Bobcats, where he totaled 4.5 sacks. The 6'3" and 280-pounder will look to help put pressure on the opponent quarterbacks, something the Buffs struggled with last year. Another new defensive lineman that will be sporting black and gold comes from the University of Pittsburgh. Dayan Hayes is a 6'3", 270-pounder that will aim to earn a starting spot on the roster, alongside notable names like Shane Cokes, Amari McNeil, and Queen Barnes, and Chidozie Nwanwaku. The third pickup for the Buffaloes was Peyton Kirkland from the University of Texas. Kirkland is a large offensive tackle standing at 6'6" and 370 pounds. He will be making his way to Boulder to help protect Shedeur Sanders alongside the transfer trenches. Kirkland also will be a help to the Colorado run game, which is one of the worst in the nation last season. But there is more hope than Kirkland. This week, the Buffs landed Dallin Hayden, a running back who is at Ohio State. Hayden didn't play in the 2023 season because Ohio State redshirted him, although in the 2022 season, he rushed for 553 yards for a total of 5 touchdowns. Hayden is expected to be the starting running back after the departure of Dylan Edwards. Sko Buffs Sports, Wes Barnett.
Thanks, Wes. As we prepare for the fall, the home opener for the Buffaloes against the Bison of North Dakota State has been moved from Saturday, August 31st to Thursday, August 29th. North Dakota has been a powerhouse at the FCS level of college football and will certainly be a test for the new-look Buffaloes. A time nor TV channel has been announced yet.
That brings us to this week's trivia question. With this year's NFL draft continuing into this weekend and current Buff Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter looking like locks to be top picks in 2025, we're asking you, what was the last year that a Colorado player was taken in the first round of the NFL draft? We'll have that answer later in the show.
Who wants to do basketball? Who wants to do football? Who wants to do soccer? Who wants to do volleyball?
That's so sick. Did Christian just say that?
Videography. Anyone want to do that?
The women's basketball team's roster has become rather barren since the conclusion of last season. J.R. Payne, who has continued to bring in talent to help the black and gold in hopes of a third straight trip to the Sweet 16. Former Villanova and Oklahoma State forward Leora Garzon signed with Colorado on Monday. The grad transfer is a sharpshooter, sinking 245 threes in her time with the Wildcats and Cowgirls, and averaging 9 points and 4 rebounds per game last season. The Buffs are also heavily in the mix for former Oregon State guard Talia von Oelhoffen, who listed CU in her final 4 possible transfer destinations last Friday. She took a visit to Boulder earlier this week. The 2-time All-Pac-12 selection has averaged 12 points, 4 rebounds, and 4 assists in her career with the Beavers.
The Seattle Storm have signed Buffs forward Quayne Miller to a training camp contract this week. Miller won't be far from home, hailing from Renton, Washington, and playing 2 seasons at the University of Washington before coming to Colorado. Miller earned all Pac-12 honors twice with the Buffs. She averaged 11 points and 7 rebounds in her CU career, and Colorado was 71-28 in Miller's 3 seasons here. They made it to March Madness all 3 years and Sweet 16 in the final 2.
In other news for recent women's basketball graduates, Sophie Gerber announced on Tuesday that she will forego her remaining eligibility to pursue her dream of becoming a surgeon. Gerber has spent 4 seasons with the Buffs, never finding too much time on the court.
Both men's and women's basketball saw their former players find new homes this past week. On the women's side, Erinette Vonleh committed to Baylor, a new Big 12 opponent. Michaela Johnson is headed to Pittsburgh, and Shalomi Sanders to Alabama, leaving Jaden Atchison and Lele Tunisova, the only Buffs currently in the transfer portal, yet to sign to a new school. For the men, Luke O'Brien and Joe Holbert made their commitments, placing all of Colorado's departing transfer portal players with new programs. Luke O'Brien is headed to Georgia Tech, while Holbert ended up at Davidson.
After picking up Trevor Baskin recently, the men's basketball team added their second transfer portal commit earlier this week, nabbing Andrei Yakimovsky. The Macedonian forward spent the last 4 years facing off against the Buffs in the Pac-12 with the Washington State Cougars. Last season, Yakimovsky averaged almost 10 points, 5 rebounds, and an assist a game in 35 starts. Tad Boyle and the Buffs still have some holes to fill, so the 6'8" sharpshooter shouldn't be the last transfer portal pickup of the rather young offseason.
One-and-done freshman forward Cody Williams declared for the NBA draft on Monday. According to ESPN, Cody's future is in Portland, Oregon, with the Trailblazers as the 5th overall pick. That would be fun, considering they already have forever buff Jabari Walker, and their coach is Colorado legend Chauncey Billups. Earlier predictions had Williams going number 1 overall, but injuries and a couple of down games have lowered his draft stock. The 19-year-old player in 24 games this season, scoring 12 points a game. Despite the struggle, Williams could be one of only 9 CU players to be drafted in the first round and would be the highest pick since Billups.
Speaking of CU coaches in the NBA, Jamal Mosley, former CU forward and current Orlando Magic head coach, has been named a finalist for NBA Coach of the Year. Mosley's Magic were 6 games over 500. They are in the playoffs right now, owners of the 5 seed in the East, due to in no small part to his coaching, leading a young, inexperienced squad to success. Mosley brought the team from 22 wins in his first season to this year's 47 wins in the Southeast Division title.
The Buffs women's lacrosse team lost on the road 15-6 at USC last week, locking them into 3rd place for next week's Pac-12 tournament. The Buffs will not get a bye for the first round and will most likely have to defeat both USC and Stanford in order to win the conference. They have not been able to do that this season. Senior night for the Buffs is tonight at 6 p.m. against the Oregon Ducks, and the game is at Princep Field and is the last game of the 23rd ranked Buffs regular season. Colorado currently holds a 10-5 record, while the Ducks are 8-5 and currently sit in a 3-way tie for 4th place in the conference.
Jess Peluso has been named the best defender in the Pac-12 for the 2nd time this season. The sophomore is the first CU player who has won the weekly defensive honor since joining the Pac-12. Peluso went on to cause the most turnovers by a Pac-12 player this season. This makes her the only Pac-12 player with at least 4 forced turnovers in multiple games in 2024. The Buffs volleyball team finished off their spring season with a double-header at the CU Event Center last weekend. On Saturday morning, the Buffs took on the Colorado State Rams in the first of 2 3-set scrimmages. The Buffs had a sandwich of set wins, winning the first and last while dropping the second in overall match victory. Just a few hours later, they were back on the court to take on the Wyoming Cowgirls after comfortably winning the first set. The Buffs then dropped 2 in a row to close out the spring with a loss. The Buffs had quite a few holes to fill, with many of their top performers either graduating or transferring out over the winter. These spring games helped to shed some light on the answers they are looking for. You can read all of the recaps from the spring season on our website at SkoBuffSports.com. Stay tuned for after the break. Jimmy Sierfoss will give us this weekend's schedule with Rapid Fire.
Hello, I'm Jimmy Sierfoss, and welcome to the last Rapid Fire of the year and the last Rapid Fire of my time here at SBS, so let's get right into it. The men's golf team is competing today in the first round of the final Pac-12 tournament down in Carefree, Arizona. That's happening all day long, but at 6, the women's lacrosse team is taking on Oregon in their final game before the Pac-12 tournament. The girls are looking to get back into the win column after their 15-6 loss to USC on Sunday. And then on Saturday, the black and gold game is here and takes place at 1 p.m. Make sure you dress warm and also bring your rain gear for that one. Also happening on Saturday is the Doug Max Invitational in Fort Collins. Colorado will be sending half of their track and field athletes to compete there, then the other half to compete in the Desert Heat Classic. Those events will be running all day long, and that's all I got for you here on Rapid Fire. I'm Jimmy Sierfoss. Have a great summer. Back to y'all.
The CU tennis team took a first-round loss to the Utah Utes in the Pac-12 championship on Wednesday. This marks the end of a 12-10 season for the Buffs. The Utes started strong, taking the doubles point in the first 2 singles matches. The Buffs launched a comeback, taking the first set of 2 singles matches, setting the table for Mila Stanovic to take the Buffs' only win of the day. Head coach Anthony Pham expressed his pride for the team and clear hopes for next year's squad.
The men's golf team is currently out in Carefree, Arizona for their final rounds of the Pac-12 golf as the conference's championship began Friday. The Buffs would need a third-place finish or better in order to qualify for regionals. Meanwhile, the women's golfers had their own final Pac-12 championships in Pullman last weekend, finishing in 11th. However, grad student Sabrina Iqbal and sophomore Morgan Miller each earned bids to the 2024 NCAA Women's Golf Regionals, which will take place from May 6th through the 8th in Cle Elum, Washington.
The Colorado track team concluded their 4-day Mount Sac meet in California on Sunday with the women's team taking the victory in the 4x4 100-meter relay. Bella Braun finished 11th in the hammer throw with a personal best 55.02 meters. Amanda Opp finished 14th in the event. Emma Pollock set a personal record in the 400-meter hurdles, while Joy Moorer finished 22nd. In the man's hammer throw, Matt Ward reached 14th, followed by Lawrence Atkinson finishing 20th and Isaiah Bouchard finishing 31st. The men's 4x400 relay ended in an 8th place finish with a time of 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Colorado track is competing in 3 meets this week: the Doug Max Invitational in Fort Collins, the Desert Heat Classic in Tucson, and the Peyton Jordan Invitational at Stanford.
The men's lacrosse team won in the Rocky Mountain Showdown once again to cement themselves at second in the RMLC. After trailing 7-6 at halftime, CU scored the first 7 goals of the second half. Senior Ben Hamilton recorded 4 goals, including a sick behind-the-back score. Craig Nam also picked up a hat trick as Colorado took the contest 17-9. This was their 11th straight win against Colorado State, dating all the way back to 2013. They now got ready for a rematch with the Rams in the RMLC tournament tonight at 7 p.m. in Provo, Utah.
Colorado Club Baseball is closing out the regular season on a hot streak. Last weekend, the Buffs completed a 3-game sweep over the University of Wyoming. They also emerged victorious in one of their remaining makeup games against the Colorado School of Mines Tuesday night. The Buffs' runs differential versus the Cowboys was an outrageous, outscoring their foes 50-4. The Ore Diggers made it a bit more interesting, but CU still prevailed 11-7. The Black and Gold will now look forward to regionals, riding a 6-game win streak with one last showdown against Mines this Wednesday at 8 p.m. You can catch our final club sports broadcast of the year live from Scott Carpenter Park on the SBS YouTube channel.
CU Club Baseball's future is still uncertain. They're either headed to regionals as Mid-America West champs or as the wild card. But the Buffs are still getting honors. Outfielder Nathan Hoffman and starting pitcher Salvatore Timpani earned Mid-America West Player and Pitcher of the Week, respectively. Hoffman dominated CU's aforementioned game against Wyoming and Mines, batting 7 for 10 while knocking home 6 runs and stealing 5 bases. The sophomore currently leads the Buffs in batting average and RBIs. Timpani picked up a quality start on Sunday against the Cowboys, allowing just 5 base runners and 0 runs in 5 innings of work.
The Buffs softball team will begin their playoff campaign away from Boulder this weekend. The Mid-America West Regional Playoffs will be hosted by the Jayhawks in Kansas City on Saturday and Sunday. This year marks just the second time in program history that the team has qualified for regionals.
Now it's time to reveal the answer to this week's trivia question. In case you forgot, we asked you, what was the last year a Colorado player was taken in the first round of the NFL draft? Drum roll, please. The answer is 2011. 2 Buffs were taken in that year's first round, with Nate Solder being drafted 17th overall by the New England Patriots and Jimmy Smith being selected with the 27th pick to the Baltimore Ravens. Both of these Buffaloes went on to become champions at the next level, and we can only hope Shador and Travis could do the same once they too head to the league. Coming after the break, we've got a special send-off messages from our seniors. Before that, though, we've got a special Buff banter from Roberto and Christian looking back on this year.
What's up, y'all? I'm Roberto Pachajero.
And I'm Christian Blanco.
It's a bit of a new look for us both. We're usually the ones behind the cameras. With that said, for the last iteration of Buff Banter, we want to show and tell our favorite moments for every sport from behind the camera for Sko Buffs Sports this year. Starting off with the soccer season was Amaya Gonzalez scoring this beauty versus Purdue. That was the first game I shot this year, and the goal ended up being chosen as Colorado's goal of the season.
For me, I shot volleyball a lot of the time, but my favorite shot was when we upset it Arizona State, and it was 17th nation at the time. And I got this awesome shot when the women's team had a celebration at the very end of the game.
My favorite moment of the football season was that oh-so-long Colorado State game. My shot of Shyler Sanders' pick 6 in the first quarter with 8 minutes left was the first score of what felt like an infinitely lasting game.
For me, my favorite shot was in the Stanford game. We don't have to talk about how the game ended, but I had the shot of the Big Four hitting the Spider-Man pose in the end zone. But moving on to hockey, my favorite shot comes from the December home game versus CSU. This was an awesome game at the home game, and it was a great shot to see that rec packed out for this rivalry win.
My favorite hockey moment was the trip to Fort Collins when the Buffs took on the Rams and won 7-2 on the road. That was a great trip with many mishaps, including a ref trucking a Buff. But overall, I guess we can say that night was just one crazy allegory.
And next up was the men's basketball season. This shot was of Cody Williams getting a head tap versus Oregon State. This head tap at the Event Center on their feet, and they were on fire for the rest of the game.
Back to me. My favorite moment from the women's basketball season was my great trip with Patrick Dawson to Manhattan to see the Buffs as they won versus K-State to make it to their second consecutive Sweet 16. Watching Jalen Sherrod speeding up and down the court, going almost as fast as I was when I got pulled over on the way there, was pretty awesome. For the men's this season, my favorite moment was when Eddie Lampkin slapped that Colorado sticker on the bracket to move forward.
For the spring soccer season, my favorite moment came down to the Rams, came down to town, and they had an early lead the entire game, but Shira James had 2 goals in 1 minute to give the Buffs the win.
And that's it for my only ever appearance on camera. You will never see me again. Did you ever see me in the first place?
Anyways, thanks for watching, and you'll never see me again either. Back to you guys at the desk.
This past year has been amazing, and we are happy to honor our 5 seniors.
Both you and I, our associate producer Alex Roberts, technical director Tessa Stigler, and our favorite personality Jimmy Sierfos.
In honor of our final show, we've put a little something together that we would like to share with you. Check it out.
After all this time, I can't believe the next show I helped make, Jared Miller, will not be a part of it. Wow. The 5 seniors that we have leaving have done so much and have helped the club so much. They are incredible people who I, 1, look up to in some ways, but 2, am so incredibly proud of and just am glad to have helped in any sort of small way into whatever's next for just brilliant young people.
Humphreys, and it's nice to be back, Jimmy. How's your week been? I will be forever grateful for my time here at SBS. I remember being so excited for my first meeting just over a year and a half ago, and Luckily enough this year, I got to be executive producer alongside Jared Miller, and even just through the ups and downs of football and March Madness, being able to work alongside him and everyone else has been so amazing, even though we never got our picks for pancakes in football, which we were both really, really excited about. This club has given me so many new friendships as well as amazing opportunities and connections. If I hadn't joined SBS, I wouldn't have been able to work for the NBA and work NBA finals as well as travel to Vegas for Summer League. It's been so amazing to see the growth over the last year and how far SBS has gone. Also, a really big thank you to Jake Shapiro for being such a big supporter and a mentor. He helped guide me through the journalism world and has taught me so many real-world lessons I will carry with me into the workforce. I'm so excited to watch where all of us seniors will go and where SBS will be just in a year from now. So thank you guys for everything.
Malaina, I don't know that I've been as close with a student as I have been with you the last year or so. So many late night phone calls and texts. I'm really proud of you. There's not much more to say. And you did it. You got the job. You got the job. So I'm really excited for you. And thank you for getting us through this year because, as you know, it was not easy. And, you know, you did some really, really awesome things too individually. I know it's all about us, but this is also about growing you. And I'm proud of you for being able to put yourself first sometimes when you were the leader of this group or one of the leaders of this group, because I know it's not easy. And you did some really incredible work, and you're going to continue to do some incredible work. And I also think that you cultivated some amazing friendships and relationships that go beyond yourself, but between other people in this club as well. So thank you for stepping up to the plate and out of nowhere becoming one of the most influential people that I've seen exist in this role and within this group.
One thing that Malaina taught me most was just tenacity and working as much as possible to accomplish the things that you want with the amount of jobs she does, the amount of extracurricular stuff she does outside of class, being executive producer of the club, like everything she did, do everything at all costs is what she taught me. And I'll remember my favorite memory was the first time she told me I got my first football credential at the CSU game. She asked if I had a ticket, and I said no, and she told me don't buy one. So that was awesome. I'll never forget everything that she ever taught me. Thank you so much, Malaina, for everything.
Hello and welcome back to another week of Sko Buffs Sports. We're so glad you're joining us. I'm Jimmy Searfoss.
Sko Buffs Sports has provided me with a lot of opportunities to do a lot of certain things over my time here at the University of Colorado, and I honestly cannot be more thankful for the things that we were able to do and put together, and now especially where the club's at compared to where it was a few years ago. I'm really, really proud of what we've built here. So I'm really thankful for everything I've got and everything I've been able to achieve, and I would not be anywhere near where I am today if it weren't for this club.
Dude, you're good. You're good. Whatever you do next, it's gonna be awesome. You have this in your DNA. You're built for this. Keep your head on straight. And thank you for being a part of this group while you were in school. You are going to do awesome things, and I can't wait for you to wreak havoc, whatever the word is, on the next thing that you touch, because you are a bright spot in young CU media folk that I've been around for a while.
Still cold and Boulder in mid-April, and we're back for another edition of Sko Buffs Sports. I'm Alex Roberts.
What's up, SBS fans? I'm Alex Roberts, and I've been the voice of Buffalo's club sports for the last 2 years. I started in the fall of 2022 with this club, and my dream is to be a play-by-play commentator, and I was looking for an opportunity to finally get my first reps on the mic. That's when I found Jared Miller, who was running the hockey streams at the time. He hated doing play-by-play, so he was glad to have me on board. It was apparent from the get-go that I had the passion. But after I got through my first couple of games, any nerves I had were gone. I felt confident in myself to grow and hone my craft. I became the live stream coordinator this year, and I'm so proud of the work everyone in the club has done to broadcast as many games as possible. We got to cover the hockey teams extensively and started a podcast surrounding the teams in Dangle, Snipe, and Stampede. Not only was I able to cover the team more this season, but I also felt I grew so much as a commentator and really got to build a relationship with the team. Out of the over 80 games I've broadcasted throughout my 2 years here, yes, I counted. If there was one moment that stood above them all, well, I can't pick one. I have 2 moments that stand out. The first is taking the crew up to Fort Collins to cover the Rocky Mountain face-off with the season on the line. The game-winning goal from Jacob Rosalenko late in the second period was probably the most excited our booth got throughout both seasons, as the stakes of the game were massive in their push for nationals. The second standout moment is easily the men's lacrosse team's upset of number 1 Virginia Tech in early March. Nothing could have prepared us for what transpired that night, and it was such an amazing scene at Kittredge Field. I want to thank Jared Miller and Aiden Glockner for being my broadcast partners for 2 years and being the first people to embrace me in this club. I could not have asked for better partners in this journey. And I also want to shout out Nick Evans for sticking with me all year long, showing the same passion for club sports that I have now, and for being the best possible person to take over running the live streams next year. I want to thank all the people at Sko Buffs Sports who have supported me throughout the years. I know the club is in good hands going forward, and I cannot wait to see what you all have planned for next year and beyond. Thank you for being a launch pad for my professional career, Sko Buffs Sports. I wouldn't trade anything for this experience. This is Alex Roberts saying so long from SBS.
Alex, brother, you have gotten so much better. And I see so much of myself in you, and I respect so much how you've dedicated all these hours into honing your craft and also finding your passion. It's so hard to find your passion. And I know, because the second I got behind a microphone and was able to do play-by-play, what that did for my life and how I saw the world. I see that in you, and I'm just glad another person found that. And I think you're going to be dedicated enough and strong enough to do what it takes to perhaps follow that passion, because it is going to be a tough road ahead. But based on what I've seen and the community you've built and the way you're respected by your peers, you'll be able to do those things if you put your mind to it. So thank you for what you've done. But what's next is going to be really exciting. And the band is going to miss you too.
My time with Alex started not too long ago, but has made such a great impact in such a short amount of time. He has such a passion for club sports, and you can see it through our broadcast that we've done with baseball, with lacrosse, and being the cameraman for hockey. That was really my introduction into the club of Sko Buffs Sports. And it's really reflective of him as a person and his passion and love for just calling games like that. And it's going to be really sad to see him go.
I joined Sko Buffs Sports last year in the spring, and I'm so grateful for all of the friends that I've made along the way and all of the advice and the mentorship that I've had through Jake over this past year. I really appreciate everybody that's helped come together to make Sko Buffs Sports a bigger thing, and now something that people are competing to get into versus dodging rules to get into. I'm just really grateful for the opportunities that I've had at Sko Buffs. I've had an amazing time every Friday coming in and TDing for the live shows. I love this group so much, and I'm going to be very sad to miss all of you.
Tessa, without you, our Friday shows literally would have stopped. The cornerstone of what we do as a club kept alive, stayed alive through your technical skills, through your kindness, through your friendship, through your dedication and willingness to help other people and pass on your knowledge and improve our show and do whatever it takes to get our show on the air. I cannot thank you enough for coming in whenever we really asked of you to help, whether you were sick and doing it over the phone. I know if you ever ask me for a job recommendation or someone goes, should we hire Tessa? I feel like that's a slam dunk. So thank you. It didn't go unnoticed from my perspective. And I know the people in this room right now appreciate you so much.
Jared really set the standard for making newcomers like me feel welcome in the club, in that even though I didn't have too much experience, I'd be given the opportunities to start. And a lot of how I succeeded this year was thanks to the environment that he created, where I had that agency and confidence to have a big impact in the club.
I didn't know what to expect when I decided to come across the country for college. But as soon as I heard about Sko Buffs Sports, I knew that's what I wanted to do. And I do not regret it one bit. It's been my favorite part about going to school at CU for the last 5 years. Starting as a fan in the stands, my first experience at Folsom Field was a fourth quarter comeback and overtime win against Nebraska. It was amazing, and I knew that I was going to have a good time here. 5 years and 4 football coaches later, there were ups and downs, but I knew I loved covering, watching, and writing about all the sports that Colorado had to offer right from the start. At first, it was nerve-wracking. Always being a quieter, introverted person, I found myself behind the scenes most of the time. And became possibly the best teleprompter operator the club has ever seen. Just ask Jimmy. As the years went on, my confidence slowly started to grow more and more. But I was still not sure what I wanted to do. My junior year, the club got a new faculty advisor, Shapiro, and that's when things really changed for me. He pushed me out of my comfort zone, knowing that I loved hockey, and convinced me to try to announce for the club hockey games. And I'd be lying if I said that wasn't my favorite part about being a member of Sko Buffs Sports for the last couple of years. Meeting Alex and Aiden, growing the live streams, calling an overtime winner, driving up to Fort Collins to see the Buffs play the Rams, and ultimately just spending time at the ice rink for hours and hours every weekend, but not wanting to be anywhere else. While the first 4 years were amazing, taking a fifth year turned into being this blessing in disguise. I was named executive producer of Sko Buffs Sports and continued to see the club grow. Coach Prime came in and made everything more exciting, covering his first win at TCU with Malaina, going to Arizona State with Roberto, Trent, Talus, and Harrison, plus all the awesome times in Boulder with great people this year were so much fun to experience. Going to Vegas to cover the men's Pac-12 basketball tournament with Jimmy, Oliver, and Roberto, another year of covering the club hockey teams. It was all amazing. Getting experience, creating content, and all the things that I will take away to hopefully grow a career doing what I love. But what I learned the most was to cherish the memories and friendships that were made along the way. Going to the Dark Horse after shows, late nights into early mornings at IHOP, and just all the time we spent together, that is what I'll remember the most. From the first meeting in August 2019 to the last in April 2024, it's the friends that I'm going to miss the most. Whether I've known them for 5 years or 1, they all had an impact on me as a person. From the bottom of my heart, I'm grateful for everything the club has done for me, and it truly changed my life.
Jared, I don't even know how I'm going to teach without you. You've been my A1, my day one, my whatever one. You've been my student throughout all of my classes. And, you've meant so much in my life. I'll always have your back no matter what. But to see where you came from in 2021 to now, and step up and be someone that this club just needed, the hockey broadcast with Alex, the shows weekly, doing whatever it takes. You really took a lot of my advice from my classes and put it into action in this club, and it really validated me as a teacher. I know this is selfish of me to say in your going away video, but I'm trying to illustrate to you the impact that you have on other people, because I don't think you know how large it is. And what you do and the stories you tell really impact people, and they really, really are nice. I'm always just stunned at how nice you are and the way you see the world. And I wish more people, including myself, could see the world the way you do. So we are going to miss you greatly. You carried us through some really, really tough times. And now we're in an era where people are fighting for positions that we were begging people to be in just a couple of years ago, and all that happened under your watch and your work. So thank you, Jared. I'm really glad you're not going to have to watch the same lecture I've given you for a 7th or 8th time, because that would be brutal. But thank you for staying for another year, because it meant a lot to me, and I think it really was beneficial to you. You just took off this year, and you're going to be working somewhere really important really soon. These 5 were responsible for shepherding the club through maybe its most tumultuous era, and they were prolific. They had to deal with COVID, and then they had to build back up to providing amazing coverage for the most eyes that have ever been on CU in Deion Sanders. We went from not even being able to do a show every week, let alone doing multiple shows a week and all the other stuff we do, to look what we are now, and full of young people and full of freshmen, and it's all thanks to the 5 of you. So thank you for your efforts. It was truly appreciated, and what you have done to keep this club alive, first off, but to put it in a better spot, second off, means so much to me and so many people who this club has meant a lot to for a long, long time.
Okay, so Tessa actually edited that video for us, and you got us all shedding a tear out here. But here's the other 3 seniors. We got Jared, Alex, Tessa, and Jimmy. And with that being said, it's just been such an amazing run with every single one of you guys.
Yeah, after 5 years, this run was by far my favorite one yet. So we want to welcome out the rest of the crew. I'm excited to see where you guys take it. I can't wait until I see what you guys are doing, and I'm glad that it's going to such great hands.
Oh my gosh, everyone's crying. This is a big thank you to everybody here. I'm going to miss every single one of you, and I'm so excited to see where everything's going to go. You guys are going to do amazing, and we're passing it off to our new EP, Patrick. So, P-Dog right here, but anything you got left to say, Jared?
Yeah, I guess I came up with this line like 3 years ago, so I guess I'll finally use it. But for the last time on Sko Buffs Sports this year, you heard it here first.